As most of you know, I do not go live very option, you see? And I misspoke right away. I do not go live very often. It is not an option that I use, but today I thought this would be the best way to do this. My camera is not set up to look at the live chat, so don't think I am ignoring you. It seems as if Mr. Bolsonaro is going to win in South America, in Brazil. This is probably the worst thing that could have possibly happened in South America for the safety of the world. The man is straight up crazy. He's just off his rocker. And his son, and I've linked to this video before. I know a lot of you don't speak the language, but basically here in a nutshell, he is saying that if his father gets elected, that they are going to invade Venezuela. So look for that in the next 90 days. And this was reaffirmed, of course, by one of his chancellors. This is from Sputnik, and this is what they have been planning for a long time. It's not something I think the world is really going to see until it starts happening. They are going to ignore it. They are going to say, well, it's just another election, until the armored personnel carriers start rolling into the southern part of Venezuela. The missiles start to fly, the bombs start to fly, and then it is going to spiral out of control completely. I have done a map, and there we go. I've been trying to get the zoom to work here. These are going to be the major players. Some of these I don't know yet. India and Pakistan being the two big ones. But basically the idea is this. You're going to have the US, Canada, Australia, Great Britain, Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina. And then on the other side, you're going to have Russia, China, Turkey, Iran, Mexico, Venezuela, Honduras, Nicaragua, Ecuador, and I forgot to add in Bolivia. A lot of these other players aren't going to make a real big difference. This is going to touch off quick. I've really not been too inclined to speak in bombastic language or to tell people this is going to happen right now, so go do this. But all I will tell you is that I spent most of the day finishing up putting 6 months worth of food and water and medicine and supplies in the home. That's how serious this is. It's not going to be a matter of the US dollar, and it's really not going to be a matter of the cost of things. It's going to be shipping. When everything falls apart and spirals out of control down there around the canal, there are insurance companies that are just going to say, sorry, tough luck. We'll sell it to China instead. And there will be shortages, mass shortages of things in this country. It's not going to be a matter of you having the dollars. It's not going to be a matter of, the value of your dollars. It's going to be simply, it's just not going to be there because we are used to and spoiled by a constant supply, a continual supply of ships showing up at our ports. And when this falls apart, and it will, because it's going to split bricks right down the middle. This guy who's getting ready to take charge in Brazil is nothing like any leader Brazil has ever had before. So any notion that they were going to have of maintaining happy relations with China and Russia, at least two of those, they can forget it. They will want nothing to do with Bolsonaro. And as far as India goes, that's a tough call. They have come out lately and said, we're independent, we're going to make our own decisions. Boy, I tell you what, if India has to make a choice, I mean, really has to make a choice, I don't know how, given their geopolitical strategy location in the world, how they choose anybody other than Russia and China. And if they do, we can't count on the Paquis. So you'll have a good portion of Asia falling in line with China. And this is how it's going to break down. Africa is a no. Most of Europe, more than likely, probably sides with the United States. Spain is a tough one to call because Spain and Venezuela have good relations. It is a very, very tough thing right now. But if you have not made preparations for basics, water, get toilet paper, get toothpaste, get shampoo, soap. If you have the ability to get a generator, get one. Get yourself some gasoline. And whatever basic food staple you think is the best, I could give you my opinion, but everybody has different ones depending on their location. You know, Florida's going to have its set of challenges when shortages hit, but the shortages in, say, Michigan will be completely different. And for those of you who are joining in progress here, I'm not ignoring you the way my camera is set up. The only thing that happens with comments is they blink very quickly on and off on the screen as I am reading this, and I can't see them to comment on them. It's just the way my camera is set up. So anyway, and besides, I like to leave the comments to you guys anyway. You know, it's, yeah, I saw somebody just said water, 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 big time. We will have very shortly in the next day or two over 100 liters. And that seems like that's a lot, but believe me, it's not. You know, I think we're going to have something like 134, 135 liters of water. Basic staples for 6 months. And like I said, up north, it's going to be cold, so you're going to have needs. Down here, Florida's kind of blessed because it's very temperate during this coming times of year. It can get a little chilly, but not the end of the world. Aspirin, Tylenol, these types of things, medications. As much of the over-the-counter stuff as you think you might need, Sudafed for allergies. Detergent, things to wash clothes with. It's coming. Now it's set. This guy, Jair Bolsonaro, whether you agree with him or not, look at the man's rhetoric. Look at what he said he's going to do. Take him at his own word. He thinks what'll make Brazil great again is rolling tanks into Venezuela and overthrowing Nicolas Maduro. This is his thing. He's talked about wanting military rule. What he is sorely underestimating, though, is the resolve of the Chinese and the Russians. I hope he has some tiny sliver of common sense in him to not do what I think he's going to do and realize that as tough as Brazil is, they're not going to stand up to the Chinese and the Russians. And they're going to put us in an impossible position. A nearly impossible position. And with our own midterms coming up, I hate to say it, but all the polls are saying a blue wave. It'll basically turn our government into stalemate again, gridlock. Remember Ross Perot, who was his vice president, the Navy admiral that kept talking about gridlock all the time? You can count on that in about 2-3 weeks in this country. That's pretty much going to be the end of that. Now, the timing on all of this, anybody who says they know what day is ridiculous. I'm not going to get down into the what day, but I would not be surprised by Christmas, Valentine's Day, being on the outside of this all falling apart. It's something unless there's somebody that steps in and starts to show Mr. Bolsonaro that what he perceives to be the invasion of Venezuelans is no longer a problem, or it's going the other direction, then more than likely, that's how he's going to try to fix the problem. He might do it anyway because it's just going to make him more popular with the people that support him. I had a here 94 reporting, 55-44. This was going to be closer. I remember that I did a video talking about the endorsements Haddad would get that would make it closer. There was one major one he did not get that nobody saw coming. It was a guy named Ciro Gomez that everybody thought was going to endorse Mr. Haddad and throw his support behind him. And he got about 8 to 10% of the vote in the first round. So if Gomez had done that, we would be looking at a very, very close race. But unfortunately, it's looking like now the leader of Brazil and the leader of Colombia, Ivan Duque, they're going to stand shoulder to shoulder, and the leader of Mexico and the leader of Venezuela are going to stand shoulder to shoulder, and there's going to be a throwdown. And it's not going to be pretty. Last thing you're going to be worried about is some ragtag, scraggly group of Hondurans walking to Texas. So I'm not sure how far in I am here. Like I said, I don't normally do lives. I normally go through, and sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 takes to get said what I want to get said properly. But I thought in this particular case, doing this live, since the results were live, would be the best way to do it. So I'm sure there's a lot of you that have input on this map, different places. But all of the countries that I've left off of the map are really going to be minor bit players in all of this. You know, we can throw in Cuba here. You know, it's going to be, you know, Saudi Arabia's a tough one too. You know, more than likely they're going to side with us, but you know, who knows? You know, maybe they might, with this whole Khashoggi thing, maybe they will use their support as kind of a, you know, trump card. Hard to use the term, but you know, they'll say, look, if you ignore this, then we'll side with you. If you continue to push it, we'll side with them. But it's a hard thing. When you saw it coming, everybody at the channel saw it coming, and nothing you could do about it. It's like watching a car wreck in slow motion. So anyway, we already posted over at Patreon the second winner, and that post is up. And for those of you who are waiting for Roundtable Sunday to post at the Patreon channel, that will be very soon. I wanted to see what the results were of this so that we could use it in our discussions of psychological operations. So I don't normally go longer than this anyway, 13 to 14 minutes. So we will leave it there. So like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you.